Today I'm going to show you how to program Lab 1 of our PLC labs. Lab 1 is the programming assignments in Chapter 1, 1 through 4. I will show you how to do the programming assignment number 1. So first we want to open our startup program and we want to save it as Lab 1. So this is our Lab 1 and it will keep our startup program the same. So Lab 1, we're going to have a pressure switch and a temperature switch turning on a motor starter. Before we can start, we must first go to write mode, so that will allow us to write into the program. So we do not have a pressure switch, so we're just going to label our input X10 as a pressure switch. So we're going to click on this icon that allows us to add a device comment, and then we'll click on the instruction, and then we'll call this pressure switch. You'll notice in our preview, this will show us how it will look actually in our program. So that looks correct, so we're going to hit OK. Then we're going to add another normally open contact for our temperature switch. So this is going to be X11. On mine, whatever your trainer has for an input will be the address you will use for your temperature switch. Again, we do not have a temperature switch, so you will have to use just a regular switch for your temperature switch. We're going to click on that instruction, and then we're going to label this temperature switch. And we notice in our preview this does not look correct. So we're going to have to come back here and add some spaces between the temperature and the switch to make our preview look correct. So that will add our pressure switch and our temperature switch will turn on our output. And you on your trainer will have a motor starter, so you will have to find the address for your motor starter. In my application, I'm just going to use Y0. And then we'll double click on the Y0 and we're going to label this motor starter. Okay, you will notice that the overload is after the output instruction. The PLC program will not allow you to do that. So we will simply put the overload in front of our output. We'll click on a normally open contact and we're going to label this X12 and then we're going to put a comment on that so we will know that is our overload. To add a branch in the Mitsubishi PLC, we will put our cursor below the line where we want our branch to be. We will click on normally open contact. We will add the address that we want that branch to be, and then we'll add a comment so that we'll know that is our manual push button. And again, you notice that our spacing is not correct, so we will add spacing to make our manual push button look correct. And to add a line, we're going to add a horizontal line, and it will ask you how many lines you have to add. We only want to add one line. And then to add the vertical line, you will put your cursor above where you want the line to be. The vertical line will be on the left side of your cursor. So we will click the vertical line. We only want one line and we'll click OK. So there is our program. But our program is not complete. We must first compile it. So we will click on this button to build our program. And you notice the gray box went away, so that verified that there is no errors and that this is a legitimate program. Now we want to write that to the PLC. Now we want to write that to the PLC, so we will click the Write to the PLC button. And it will ask us what we want to write. We can select each individual box, or we can click Parameters of Program, and it will write it to the PLC. And we hit Execute. And it will stop the PLC from running, so if this was next to the machine would stop. And then it will also erase the parameters that are in a program. You do not care. And it will also erase the program. In this case, we do not care. When it's finished, you have to close, and then the PLC will start again. You have to close the box. So now if we make the pressure switch and the temperature switch, the output motor starter comes on. Or if the temperature switch and the pressure switch is not made, we can make the manual push button without the overload, and the motor starter will come on. That's how we're going to program Lab 1 in our Mitsubishi PLC trainers.